Hello and welcome. Happy Earth Day. My name is Elizabeth Keel, and I'm here with a writing celebration to celebrate our home planet, brought to you by Writers in the Schools and ABC 13, our friends over at KTRK. We're so excited to talk about Earth with you. So, as writers, let's take a second. Let's zoom out a bit, zoom out of our atmosphere, and look at this planet of ours. I find it really helpful to take the pressure off as a writer and think that every poem, every story ever written by humans happened on this one little sphere hanging out in the solar system. There are so many ideas in our atmosphere. You're bound to come up with something good, all of your very own. So let's get to writing. All you'll need to participate is a single piece of paper. In celebration of Earth Day, we are going to conserve our resources and use every inch of one sheet of blank paper. Once you've got it, go ahead and fold it in half like this so that you can make a little bit of a card. Beyond that, you just need a pencil. I've got my lucky pink pencil, and I'd love to point out that the eraser has been used. It's okay to make mistakes here. When you're done writing in pencil today, you may want to go back and add colors, markers, crayons, make it fancy. Earth loves color. But for now, go ahead and just work in pencil. Okay. So to celebrate our planet, we're going to do 4 different writing exercises, one for each part of the card, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And when you're going to have a party, the first thing you need to do is decorate. But rather than putting out balloons or confetti, we're going to use our paper so that it remains biodegradable and recyclable. So on the front part of your card, you're going to decorate it by drawing an animal to help celebrate all the life on our planet. Now, this may be a big decision because there's a lot of different kinds of animals. And in my experience, young writers like you know a lot about them. I've got some elephants up there, I've got some birds to give you ideas. I actually drew 2 animals myself because I couldn't pick either. Here's my polar bear that I drew. You do want to try to make it as big as the card on the front so that you can write inside of it. We're going to be putting some poetry inside the drawing of whatever animal you choose. So polar bears are great because they have all that white fur, makes a great canvas to write on. But if you're feeling like, oh, I'm not much of an artist or I'm a little nervous about drawing this animal, you can also draw just their head. Here I have 3/4 of a flamingo. The feet are kind of hard, so I just did the most of the wing and the neck to focus on. Or if you really can't pick, you can have more than one kind of animal. Have a pterodactyl and a T-Rex. That's totally fine. While you're drawing, here's an example of the kind of poetry I was talking about putting on the inside. I did write Happy Earth Day in blue over the top of the card, like hanging up a banner. And then the polar bear itself, the part of the polar bear I was writing on, I used for inspiration. I have very big feet, and so do polar bears. So if you look at his toes right now, one says silent fuzzy paws, and the other one says riding on ice floes, which they love to do. The little tiny cotton ball tail, it just says poof. That's all I could fit in there. Up his back, it says hollow fur, snow white and yellowing to gold, black button nose, little smile, strong arms for swimming in the cold, caring for their cubs, playfully tumbling on the tundra. Polar bears are always hungry, but not for soda. You may have noticed an ad campaign featuring polar bears. I like the big words, always hungry, on his big bear belly. That was pretty fun for me. Or with my flamingo, here's another way you can go about it. I always like to give options. I just filled in the feathers on the wing, and I've made the rest of the flamingo nice and pink. So this is a great one to use if you pick an animal like a fish or a reptile that has a lot of scales or feathers. You can just brainstorm little phrases or words to put inside each one and fill it up with ideas and fun facts that you may know. So for my flamingo, I have pink, black beak, flock, wading, shrimp, of course, makes them pink, balanced, migrating, co-parents, crustaceans, one of their favorite snacks, pink yolks. Fun fact, flamingo eggs, their yolks that are yellow in a chicken's egg, they're sometimes pink for flamingos. Pigment, algae, France, one leg, distance flyers, white, graceful, smart, and tall. So some great juicy words that came to my mind when I think about how awesome flamingos are. Whichever one you choose to do, either filling it up with phrases around the animal shape or the inside of just feathers or scales with words, have some fun with it, and feel free to pause the video and move on when you're ready to part 2. Don't forget that you can use that zoology knowledge. If you have any fun facts about the animal, if you know about its diet, its habits, or its habitat, and what makes it special. No other bird, or any animal for that matter, is quite like the flamingo. All right, you should be very proud of those decorations, all those lions and tigers and bears, oh my, that have been added to the world. It's time for part 2. So we're going to open up the card, and we'll be using the inside left-hand side for this next part. Because it's a party, you're going to be bringing a present to the earth. And we've done animals, now it's time to talk about the flora. We're going to be designing a new plant as a gift for the earth. It could be a tree, a flower, a fungus, a vine, even a glowing moss, a vegetable, or a fruit. I put on my cactus earrings knowing that we were going to hang out today. You could redesign an existing plant if you wanted. Most cacti are pretty pointy, but what if there was a soft cactus that felt good to touch? Some things to think about. What is your plant's name? Where does it grow? How often does it bloom or make fruit? What are its special qualities? Is it poisonous or edible? So will something bad happen if you eat it? Is it delicious? That's a fun thing to think about. It's like spices and herbs, it may smell or taste really good. And so if you have a round plant, like a shrub, you might draw that at the top of part 2 and then right underneath. If you have a tall plant, like a tree, it might go on one side and then you could put your writing next to it. I'll show you my example. Mine ended up being pretty long and tall too. So I have created my gift to the earth. It is the Feline Canine flower. It's mostly found in fields in Texas. It blooms once a year from a purple bulb, and it has 2 bright orange blossoms. One looks like a cat head, and one looks like a dog's. It's not poisonous and smells pleasantly like vanilla orchids and clean laundry. Some folks call these the kitty cat puppy dog flowers. Maybe because I didn't use a cat or a dog on the first part of my card, I wanted to use them here. And as you can see, writers in the schools, we love the color orange, so I made my cat and dog head a nice bright orange. Have fun deciding which colors and shapes you want your plants to be. And whenever you're ready to move on, we can go. All right, now what's a party without playing a game or two? It'll be time for a brain teaser in part 3. We've used the first half of the card. It's time for the second half, so the inside right-hand panel is where part 3 will go. I hope we have half as much fun as the kids in this picture are on their computer. So our friends at ABC 13 know all about the weather because we get a lot of different kinds here in Houston. I'm sure some of y'all remember the freeze we experienced this past spring. So we have heat, we have snow, we have fog, frost, sunshine. I want you to be thinking about all the different kinds of weather you've already experienced as you've been growing up all this time. Then in your card, you're going to make 3 tall columns, and then each of the 3 columns will have 6 spaces. It seems like a lot, but it's totally going to be worth it. So in this first column, I want you to come up with 5 types of weather. I have here tornadoes, humidity, rain, heat, and breezes. Most kids I know can come up with a lot. If you want to do some of these and come up with some of your own, or if you want to do all new ones that aren't even on here, I think you're welcome to take that challenge. Sleet, drizzle, wildfires, lightning, thunder, so many kinds. Have fun with it. Come up with just 5. Now what we're going to do is we're going to play with a writing tool called a simile, which you might have heard of before in school. A simile is when writers compare 2 similar things using like or as to make the connection. The hail was round and pitted like a golf ball. So you're saying hail, which is about that big around sometimes when it falls down from the sky and hits the ground really hard, it gets those little marks on it, indentations, just like a golf ball. It's about that round. The thing they have in common is they're both about that size and they have all those little niches in them, right? Or the shade was as cool and welcome as a glass of iced tea. The shade was cool and welcome. Ooh, that iced tea was so cool and so welcome with the lemon, with the mint, delicious. Keep in mind, similar and simile, it's the same root word to help keep you on track. So to help figure out our similes for our brain puzzle here, what you're going to do is whichever 5 types of weather you thought of, in the middle column, I want you to decide what really stands out about that kind of weather. Earth is amazing with all the different ways the atmosphere moves and shifts and redistributes water. So with tornadoes, what do I think of when I think about them? They spin around and they make a big mess. Humidity, ooh, it's sticky. The summer is coming. Rain makes a gentle splashing sound. Now, I have rain down as gentle splashing. Maybe rain makes you think of something else. So feel free to change it if you chose one of these words in your first column. For me, heat is strong, and breezes feel great. I love a breeze. Breezes are my favorite. I like when they make my earrings dance. So take some time and figure out what characteristic of your weather you want to highlight and really make a connection to. All right, let's keep going. To make it a simile, we're going to use those words like or as to put the comparisons together. So for tornadoes, I know that they spin and make a mess, and I have to think about what else in the whole wide world can do that too. My baby sister is like a tornado. When she hits the living room, she spins around, she makes a mess, the remote goes flying, the couch cushions are knocked over. It's awful. The jigsaw puzzle pieces are in the air. It's the devastation of a tornado and my baby sister putting them together. And that's the part of creative writing that your brain just loves to do, is come up with these connections that maybe have never been made before. For humidity, I said it was as sticky as cotton candy. For rain, with that gentle splashing sound, I thought about the rain splash gently like a duckling in a pond. More animals here on Earth Day. The heat was as strong as an 18-wheeler, pulling lots of cargo across the country. And breezes feel great. The breeze felt as great as winning the soccer game, especially if you've been running around for an hour. There's nothing like that when that cool breeze blows. So take your time and see which connections you can make using like or as to form those similes. If you have room in the corners, of course, feel free to draw some of the weather to go with it. I love artwork with my writing, so you can mix that in. Okay. And part 4, after you get invited to a party, the nice thing to do is to write a letter to your host and tell them what a great time you had and thank you so much for having me. So we're going to be writing a letter on the back of your card to thank the earth for everything that it has given us. If you want, I drew the earth with myself on there, the little heart. Please don't forget to include your bubble of air. It's not to scale, but it's quite fun to have the earth there too. And then things to think about in your letter. You're going to start it with Dear Earth. And then what do you love about living here? What are you thankful for? And feel free to reference back to all of those animals, the weather, the plants that we were talking about before. If there's one that you were thinking about but didn't use, this is a great place to recycle that idea and tell the earth you're thankful for giraffes and apple trees. Will you do anything special to help take care of our home planet? So it might be nice to say, we're going to start composting at my house. I'm going to recycle this card when I'm done with it after today. We're going to take walks and ride bikes instead of driving somewhere in the car. And then, of course, don't forget to sign your name at the end of the letter so that the earth knows who came to their party. All right. Thank you so much for being here and being a part of this today. I hope that you had fun. You can always keep an eye on the weather and all the breaking news at abc13.com. If you're interested in Writers in the Schools and our upcoming summer camps, you can visit us at witshouston.org. And if you would like to know more about me and the kind of writing I do, my website is elizabethamkeel.com. Happy Earth Day, y'all. Hope to see you soon.